Hey, welcome to the Northwest Georgia Football Class A preview show, man. I needed that jam this morning, dude. After being up all night, man, I need a little, little,
I
little
hear
blood
you
pumping.
need a little excitement going on to wake you up a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, man. If this is the first show you've seen of ours, we've gone through every classification. This is our last one this morning, Class A. We have 12 teams to talk about. Um, I know there's a lot of Class A fans around, man.
Yeah, a lot of Class A schools had good years last year, and they're looking for more good seasons coming up.
Yeah, we'll start with our 7A Division Two schools, man. State champions, 14-1, Bowden Red Devils. Um, Great season last year for Coach Finley and his gang. Lose 8 first team all region players.
Yeah, going to lose a good bit of their production. You're going to have obviously you're going to have to replace a quarterback, some running backs. You know, you see there on your returning, Jordan Beasley is one of the stars coming back. He'll be a senior linebacker to go along with Caden Prothrow at receiver and junior Jamichael Jones at DB is the returning stars for the Bowden Red Devils.
Yeah, I think Caden Prothrow is going to be a name you hear about a lot over the next few years. You know, he's just a rising sophomore, tall kid. I know he was up at the University of Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. Beasley, I mean, great player. I saw him last year at Christian Heritage. Tough kid. His mom knows how to pick football games. Yeah, like I said, man, but having to replace 8 first teamers is going to be tough, man. But I know Bowden's loaded. Been in the playoffs 32 of the last 35 years with 2 state titles. So they got kids waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident they'll figure out a way to get some of that production that they're losing back and have another successful year.
Yeah, and if you follow them on Twitter, man, you see them all in the weight room, man. Coach Finley's a big weight room guy. I just saw their middle school kids on there this morning hitting the weights. So, yeah, the number 2 team last year, man, in 7A, Mount Zion Eagles. 5-6, lost in the first round to Washington Wilkes, losing 5 first teamers, 2 guys returning.
Yeah, two guys returning that were on that all region watch. Mr. Buchanan at linebacker, and then Walter Myers on the offensive line. Not sure exactly who's going to play quarterback. Maybe Stanley Cross. I seen his name come across, and Sherrod Montgomery Jr. is one of those guys that could try to make up for the loss of Mr. Malachi Eccles there at running back, along with a couple other guys.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, man. It's going to be hard to replace Ackles, man. He was a great player. I've been watching the last 3 or 4 years. Started out at Temple, ended up at Mount Zion. Nate Buchanan, though, man, at linebacker is a player to watch. Big size. I think he'll make some noise, probably end up playing on Saturday somewhere after this season. Mount Zion, 8 of 9 years in the playoffs and a region title in that time. I expect them to be right back there in the hunt, And I was thinking about these 3 teams, man. As you know, all 3 of these teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, speaking of number 3, man, the number 3 finishing team last year, Christian Heritage Lions, 5-7, lost in the second round to Johnson County. They lose 3 first teamers, including Defensive Player of the Year and Athlete of the Year, returning 6 guys. 6 first teamers.
It seems like this is a rarity, but we're actually returning a quarterback here, Carter Triplett. He'll be a junior quarterback. We really like this guy. He's a big body guy, can get the ball down the field. I think he'll have a really good year. Go along with Sam Wooten at tight end, and then Jalen Gray at the running back position, with a couple other guys coming back, linemen on both sides of the ball. I think Christian Heritage is poised to have an even better year this year than they had last.
Yeah, when you look at that 5-7, I mean, they played a tough schedule last year. I mean, I know they go to Pickens County. I know they played a couple of other tough teams early in the season. I saw them at home versus Bowden. I mean, they gave Bowden a good game. Um, Jalen Gay, I mean, that was his come out game, man. He looked really good in that game. Scored a couple of touchdowns. Like I said, 5 of their first team guys that are coming back are 2025 guys. I know they're really excited about them. We'll see if they get it done this year, but for sure in the next year they'll be stacked. And probably the biggest news out of Christian Heritage, this spring is head coach Jay Pogue, who's been there, 5, 6, 7 years, 5 consecutive playoff appearances. He left for North Carolina last week. They hired a guy, Northwest Georgia fans will be familiar with, Frank Barden. Used to coach Cartersville Purple Hurricanes.
Yes, sir.
Came over from St. Francis, man. So I don't think they'll miss a beat up there in Dalton. Yeah, man. Like I said, if this is the first time you watched our show, it's not a prediction show, man. This is more or less an infomercial. Trying to get you an idea what everybody's got coming back, and we'll jump to 4A Division 1. We follow a couple teams in that division. Heard County Braves, man, 6-6. Lost a tough one to Irwin County last year in the second round. Losing 7 first team guys, and returning 6 first teamers and 4 second teamers.
Yeah, this is a team that's going to return junior quarterback Sean Swafford. He had over 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns last year to go along with Darion Pearson with 700 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. So this is one of those teams that's returning a good bit. You got senior wideout LJ Green with over 600 yards and 12 touchdowns. They're going to be capable of putting up some points. If they can get the defense going, I think Heard County could be a contender right here in this region.
Yeah, that's the thing I got to looking at when I was looking at it on paper, man, is they bring back plenty of skill players.
Yep.
Like you said, quarterback, wide receiver. Green's getting college offers. He's going to be a heck of an athlete. Like I said, if they can find a little bit on defense, man, they'll definitely contend for the region title. 18 consecutive playoff appearances for the Braves. 6 region titles and a state championship in those 18 years. They're poised to make a run at it, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Temple Tigers. Coach Corey Nick's second year down there in Temple, man. 4-7 last year. Lost to Metter in the first round. Losing 3 first team guys, including Player of the Year Cam Vaughn. They have 8 returning, 4 first teamers and 4 second teamers.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that sticks out to me is, who's going to replace those big shoes to fill from Cam Vaughn, with the production he had through the air and on the ground. Just a deadly player. That's the biggest question I have is who's going to replace his production at quarterback. You do have a host of people coming back. You got Claude Gray at running back. You got a Mr. Matter out at receiver and a couple other guys that could help you out along the line of scrimmage, Patrick Tripp and Ryan Self. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can put together offensively. And I think whoever plays quarterback, if they're successful, then Temple will have another good year.
Yeah, they're kind of in the same shape that Heard County's in, man. I think they bring back a lot of offense with Gray and Metter. Both were sophomores last year. And a guy that doesn't show up on this list that I think will make a big contribution, his last name is Nix. He's going to be in 9th grade this year. Real tough linebacker. Like I said, they're young, but I think they'll compete in 4A. All right, man. Let's move on to the 7A D1. Your number one team last year, Darlington Tigers, 11-1 overall, 10-0 in the regular season, 7A region champs. Lost to Mount Pisgah in the second round of the playoffs. They're losing 6 first teamers, and they're bringing back 3 first team guys and 2 second teamers.
Yeah, I think the names that jump onto the board, well, they're going to be replacing a quarterback as well. So you got to figure out who Darlington's quarterback is going to be. But the running back position's in pretty good shape with Demarion Floyd.
Yeah.
Demarion, my guy Matt that does the basketball calls him D-Man. So D-Man Floyd and the running back position. And then you got Joel Lowenberg, who looks like a dominant force there at linebacker. Those two stand out. And then Talon Shirley, I think he's kind of an underrated guy. He's a good athlete to be back for his senior year. So I think that's going to be another weapon they'll have. Lost a lot on the line of scrimmage, so we'll see what Darlington can put together. They normally just, reload with the next guy. So we'll see who those next guys are along the line of scrimmage. And I think they're poised for another playoff run.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, man, to replace probably the best offensive lineman combo we had in Northwest Georgia last year with Gus Gamage and Gal Hancock. And they lost their coach this year. Tommy Atha stepped down. Coach Wayne Groves come over from Rome. Like I said, I think the Tigers will be set. I think they'll be right there in the hunt.
I agree.
Tryon Bulldogs, man, 9-3 last year. Lost in the second round to St. Francis. Only losing one first-team guy, Logan Eller, who was a region player of the year. They have 11 guys coming back, first and second teamers.
Yeah, on paper, the Bulldogs should be slated to contend for this region title this year. Got junior quarterback Cade Smith coming back with over 1,700 passing yards and 16 touchdowns. You got Toby Maddox. He's probably going to bust 1,000-yard mark this year easy. He had 16 touchdowns last year. Other skill guys like Ethan Willingham, Logan Stokes at tight end and defensive end. You talked about other guys coming back on their line of scrimmage. We've talked off air about some of their big guys on line of scrimmage. Ezra Adams, man. Defensively, Cohen Blasky, Stoker at linebacker, and the list keeps going on and on. I think the Bulldogs, they really want to get Darlington this year, and it'll be that last game of the year. Whoever made these schedules, they had they had a little foresight. I think, because I'm not going to say that's going to be the region title game, but that could possibly be the region title game right there.
Yeah, when I was figuring up the stats, doing the research, man, this is the best 3-year stretch that the Tryon Bulldogs have had in 20 years.
And that's hard to believe because they're all, it seems like they're always a really good team.
Your number 3 team last year in 7A, Pepperell Dragons, 6-5, lost in the first round to Elbert County, losing 3 guys, including Offensive Player of the Year, DJ Rogers.
It's going to be weird to say Pepperell and not say DJ Rogers. It feels like he's been there for, 10 years or so. But, let's see how Pepperell does without that big playability of DJ Rogers, because I feel like that, that 60-yard run, 70-yard run every now and then, kind of lifted that team up. You do have a returning quarterback, senior, Mr. Jensen. You got some linemen, Elliot Goggins, Peyton Owens coming back. You're losing a good bit of skill, so we'll see what kind of skill they can put at the receiver and running back position for Pepperell. Normally they don't have trouble finding skills, so we'll see what they come up with, and I think they're poised for another playoff run this year.
Yeah, I tell you, a guy that I really like on the defensive side of the ball is rising sophomore Sam Ross. Saw him in the Georgia Elite Classic game last year. Man, a real good defensive back. That's the one thing that Pepperell hasn't had any trouble with under Hurst, man. If you watch the Pepperell Dragons, their defense is always on point.
Yep.
The key is going to be finding offense this year to replace DJ Rogers, but I think they'll be solid on the defensive side. Like I said, they got an 18-year postseason streak going. And I'm sure they'll keep that going in 2023. Your number 4 team last year, Dade County Wolverines, 6-5, lost in the first round to Rabun County, losing 3 guys, including quarterback athlete of the year Brody Cooper.
Yeah, and Dade's just like a lot of these other teams, having to replace a quarterback, a very talented quarterback. We both always liked Brody Cooper. We thought he was an outstanding quarterback, great athlete, a heck of a basketball player too, man. I think Coach Poston, they'll find out who their quarterback's going to be over the spring, and you're going to go watch them play, so you'll get a good little look at who their quarterback might be. But when you got players like, Braylon Sullivan, Landon Williams, Evan Kroger, Demetrius Walker, I like all these guys. These guys, I mean, good luck tackling a couple of these guys.
Yeah.
You either got the power backs at 6 foot or plus 200 plus pounds, or you got the jitterbug on the outside that can go get the ball in the air. So I think Dade County is going to have another talented team, always physical on defense and on the line of scrimmage. And, Coach Poston's looking for another playoff run.
Yeah, like I said, when I was doing the research on them, man, first back-to-back playoff appearances in team history.
Yeah, I think one of the attainable goals and one of their goals is probably going to be to try to get a home playoff game in Magic Morgan. We talked about Tryon and Darlington. This is one of those teams that's going to compete with them. Going to be right there.
Number 5 team last year in 7A, Armurchie Indians, 3-7, losing 0 first-team All-Region guys and returning 1 in Jacob Seagraves, wide receiver, and 2 second-teamers.
I'll let you speak on Armurchie. That's right in your wheelhouse there.
Yeah, Coach Green stepped away after last season. Coach Eric Ballou has taken over the program, assistant coach at Rockmart the last few years. This Armurchie team is going to be dangerous, man, because they have 18 seniors this year. Most of them have been playing since they were freshmen, starting since they were freshmen. Huge senior class, a lot of talent. Like I said, you can't mark them as an easy win in 2023.
No, absolutely not. A couple guys that stand out to me, obviously Seagraves with his athleticism, Hayden Phillips at tight end, and Rylan Steen. I like that
Rylan
guy.
Steen,
he plays well on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I guess Luke Lively is slated to be the quarterback, take over this year for Chandler DeSanto. I know they're having the blue and white game next Friday night. We'll probably know more after that. But, yeah, I think the Indians are going to be right in the hunt, man. It's like you were saying earlier. Darlington and Tryon are kind of the 2 teams at the top. But I think you can pretty much throw everybody else in the basket for that 3rd and 4th spot.
Yeah, everybody else is knocking on the door.
Your 6th place team last year in 7A, Coosa Eagles, 3-7, losing 2 first-teamers and returning 1 first-teamer and offensive lineman Connor Solis and 2 second-teamers.
Yeah, I think last year Coosa, it seemed like Coosa was real young, and they still have some young guys coming back. One of the standouts for me for Coosa, and I know you like this guy too, junior linebacker Harrison East, man. Mm-hmm. He's just he's a gamer. I think I watched him play, and he was coming off injury, and he played great still. I mean, it's amazing. But
yeah, I know he scored a couple of touchdowns last year against Armurchie, and I saw him live against Gordon Central last year, and I had to look him up after the game to see who he was because, the kid was just a sophomore last year, and he was out on the field, man, telling everybody what to do. He was fired up.
Yeah.
Heck of a player. leader. Like I said, if you go back and look at the Eagles' schedule last year, man, they were in a couple of games. They could have easily been 5-5 last season. 2017, last year they were over 500. 2018 was the last time they made the postseason. Like I said, they're one of those teams too that are right there knocking on the door. And your last place team last year in 7A, the 2-8 Chattooga Indians, losing Billy Settlemore, returning 2 first teamers and 1 second teamer. I'm sure you can speak a little bit on the Indians.
Yeah, Indians are trying to settle on a quarterback. Got a couple guys that's obviously Corey Gibson's played it before. He's I guess you would consider him an athlete. He could play just pretty much any position, running back, at receiver. I think, me personally, I'd rather have him at wide out, but you never know. He might end up at quarterback just because of need. You got junior running back Zayden Cook, which I think has really not had a lot of carries in high school. I think he's going to be one of those breakout stars that you could see, out on the end or out on the edge. You got Dan Meyer, and then everybody's favorite linebacker name, Bubba Bass, coming back for his for his senior year. A couple other guys to look out for. You got Colton Sanford is coming back at safety. Man, he had it seemed like he had 1 million tackles last year. I know it's not probably good if your safety is making all the tackles, but he was making a lot of tackles. And Parker Huff, a junior linebacker, should be back. And one of the big things for Chattooga this year is, replacing the majority of the coaching staff. New head coach, Rune Gable, which is most people in Northwest Georgia know the Gable name. Rune coming from Trine down to Chattooga, which raised some eyebrows. But I've talked to Rune. He's a great guy. He's all in red and black. So, and his staff he built around him with, Danny Wilson from Cahola Creek. He's pulled Dustin Powell, I've seen. Roshmel Young is going to be the offensive coordinator. He's a young guy that's going to get his opportunity. And then Scott Chandler. I've heard so many great things about Scott Chandler. I believe he coached at Coosa a while back, and he won state championship last year in Tyner, Tennessee, I believe. He'll be on the staff. So plenty of talented staff members, young team still. See what they can get done in this region.
Yeah, I know this is kind of an unimportant point. I put the question out yesterday on my webpage and on Twitter. 3 teams are going into the season on a winning streak. One of them is the Chattooga Indians, man.
Yeah.
Beat Coosa last game of the season, so maybe they can keep it going.
Yeah, start a new playoff streak.
Yep, snapped an 8-year consecutive playoff streak was snapped last season. But yeah, man, that's our Class A preview. Our work all night, talk all morning preview. Like I said, we'll be back the next month or so, man. We'll have the other guys on here. Chris and Paul will be back with us, and we'll be talking all kind of stuff, man. We got all kind of stuff planned for you this summer.
Yeah, we'll probably have some. We'll probably talk to a few coaches, maybe during the spring, and maybe even do a couple live shout outs at a couple of the practices or scrimmage games. And maybe even have some highlights. You never know. I might take a few cameras out there. You never know.
Yeah, I know our plan is to be out this summer, man. As many 7-on-7s as we can get to. Padded camps, practices, man. If you got something going on and you don't mind us while coming out there with a camera, just send us a DM on Twitter, and we'll show up.
Yeah, we're excited. Like it's gone.
Yeah, I believe Benton got hung up there, man. But yeah, that concludes our 7A show, man. We'll see all you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you.